What is the story you have been dying to tell? My friend, who I'll call Stan, and I were driving around in what happened to be the same night as prom. He gets pulled over for speeding like the third time that month, so he's pretty fucked if he gets a ticket. The cop gets to the car and asks for license, registration, and proof of insurance. All Stan has is his license, and the glove box is full of firecrackers, so if he even opens it to look, we're fucked. So he's making up some bullshit to the cop about why he doesn't have his registration when suddenly the cop asks him, "Are you headed to prom?" Stan tells him that yes, of course we are. The cop asks, "Oh yeah, well then where's your date?" At that point Stan reaches over, pats my thigh and says lovingly, "This man right here's my date." The officer gets this dreamy look in his eyes and says, "You know, I'm gonna let you boys go. You have a great night at prom. I never got to go to mine," and walks back to his cruiser and drives away. I saw a guy ran up to a girl from her behind. The guy thought that was his girlfriend, so he grabbed her butt and tried to kiss her. The girl was freaked out and pepper sprayed him. His real girlfriend was behind watching the whole thing from a distance and called him a dumbass. I drove a commercial submarine when I was 13. There were almost 100 tourists on board. At that time I had never even driven a car. One of my proudest achievements. Never relevant in conversation. A couple of months ago, my boyfriend and I were buying groceries. He stopped to look at a glass bottle of something, and it ended up slipping from his hands, and he thought to stick out his leg so it could cushion the fall or something like that. I took a step back at this exact moment, not realizing he dropped anything. We fucking caught the bottle between our legs and just stood there, mouths agape at one another. I don't even think we could recreate that situation if we needed to. So, after that, you guys already set up the wedding date? I was walking down the street once, a backpack on my shoulder to go to school, and I had work after school that day, so naturally I had some extra clothes in my backpack, plus the 2 sticks of deodorant that I keep on me at all times. I had a good $300 in my wallet, and was only $150 away from getting that new flat-screen TV. That's when I see him. A homeless guy, looking down on his luck, sitting next to a really sick-looking dog. No sign, no money cup, just a man and his dog. Now I've seen this before, as I live in the city, and it may sound stupid, but this one was different. I kinda walk up to him, and asked him, "What's wrong?" "I don't have enough money to get help for my dog," he says. "I tried to sell a necklace that I had, but they only gave me $50 for it." So after about a minute of talking to the guy and thinking about it, I tell him, "I believe you, man. What's your name?" He tells me his name, I tell him mine. "Well, Rob, I like you. I'm going to give you $250, a stick of deodorant, and some help. My friend works at the gas station just down the street, you know, the Marathon? He's got a guest room, and can probably get you a job. You down?" So I call my aforementioned buddy, Derek, and ask him if he's got room in his place for someone to get back on their feet, and if there are any job openings at the station. Sure enough, the answers are yes, and possibly. So I explain to Derek the situation and he approves, even tells me that he can talk his boss into getting him a job interview. So I give the money to Rob, so he can get help for his dog. I give him my phone number, and I tell him that my friend is taking off work to come pick him up soon. I tell him, "Use the money to fix your dog, and whatever else is left is yours to do with what you please, but I'm trusting you to use this money wisely. My friend is going to get you a job, and give you a room in his house, but only until you can afford an apartment, or something." Next thing I know, this man is hugging me, crying, saying things like, thank you, I promise I'll do good by you," and other things along that line. A few days after that, Derek and I took Rob shopping for some new clothes for his job interview. He's all settled into his space in Derek's house, and everything is going well. His dog's in the vet for a digestive problem from eating some odd trash. I checked in on them periodically, but then I hear back a few months later from a phone number that I've never seen before, so I let it ring for a little bit. Then it hits me, Rob, so I answer it as fast as I can, fucking up and almost dropping my phone, and I hear his unmistakable voice. "Hey Rob! How's it going?" After a little bit of a phone conversation, I find out that he got the job, bought a phone, and most importantly, is renting an apartment. I head on over, and it's not a bad place at all. He said the next step is to quit smoking. To this day, only a few months after all this, I still talk to him on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Wow, this is awesome. You literally gave a man and his dog a life again. Did you ever find out his story? I did, actually. The man used to live with his wife, and was overall a great husband. I think he said her name was like Nicole or something, until she started getting abusive, emotionally. She proceeded to fuck with him, mistreat him, and cheat on him, till she filed for a divorce. She said he cheated on her, and then she got a hefty amount of his stuff and money. They hadn't had any kids yet, so she took the house too. He couldn't afford rent at the place he was trying to live in after that, so he got put out on the street. He said he was homeless for almost a year by the time I came by. Last I've heard, Rob talked to a mutual friend of hers and found out that she's a heroin addict now, and is homeless and has an STD or something like it. Karma, man, it's only a bitch if you are. I was on my way to class in NYC and this homeless guy approached me. He had a trench coat on, and he started to reach for something in his coat. I honestly thought he was going to flash me, so I was freaking out, but then of course, the unexpected. He pulled out a pigeon and tried handing it to me while yelling, "Merry Christmas!" Note, it was only October during this time. And this is why NYC is one of my favorite cities in the world. Because of the homeless people flashing pigeons with poorly timed greetings? Because you never know what the day will bring. I work at a school underprivileged children. A student's mom was in a custody battle with CPS and grandma and her. I had been aware the student's mother was having her trial with the child services. One day she comes to visit class, which is allowed. She asks to hold her 5-year-old son. She scoops him up and rushes to the door. Turns out she lost her battle with the courts and tried to steal her son she just lost custody of. I abandon my class and rush after her. After hitting me and scratching, I manage to remove her son, run inside, lock doors until cops arrive. Save the kid. Last summer I was a waiter on the deck of an outdoor restaurant overlooking Lake Michigan. Because there was a marina for super huge yachts next door, we occasionally got famous to semi-famous customers. One night this big guy with a beard, cowboy hat, plaid button-up, and douchey necklace comes in and sits down with his family. I was swamped at the time, so I didn't really notice him until the bartender goes, "Dude, that's Toby Keith. I don't like country music," so I'm like, "Oh, cool," and keep working. Here's the kicker though. Our signature drink of the summer was called the Red Solo Cup. For those who don't know, as I didn't, that's a famous Toby Keith song. So the manager brings a Red Solo Cup drink over and says, "Mr. Keith, we named our drink of the summer after your song, so here's one for free." Toby goes, "Thanks, that's so nice, I'd be willing to take a picture with my waitress." So Toby and the waitress take the picture and the manager posts it to the restaurant Facebook page. All of a sudden people are buying him drinks and snapping pics left and right, and he's going along with it all. It was chaos. So later that night, we're closing down and one of the waitresses goes, "You know, if Toby Keith is so rich, why are his teeth so jacked up?" So we Google Toby Keith. Perfect teeth. We compare him to the Facebook picture with messed up teeth. So we check Toby's tour schedule, and he played Chicago the previous night, so it was reasonable that he could be in Michigan by then. So I Google, "Toby Keith impersonator," a professional Toby Keith impersonator out of Detroit who impersonates Toby for parties and bars. I tweeted him and just said, "Hey, you don't know me, but did you eat at Stafford's Pier in Harbor Springs, Michigan tonight?" Next day he tweets back, "Yeah, you know it. This guy dressed up as a famous guy and got strangers to get him drunk for free at a restaurant with a drink named after a Toby Keith song. It was the perfect crime." About a year ago, my friends and I went to go see the second Insidious. It was just us 4 guys and we took up the whole row, and since it was the opening night, the entire theater got filled. Climax of the movie, the lights go on and everyone groans. Usher comes down and grabs our rows and pulls us out. We were wondering why we weren't particularly loud. He explains, "We had a complaint that you, a boy with green hair," points at me, "was fingering his girlfriend in the theater." I look at my friends. No? Turns out, there was another boy with green hair, fingering his girlfriend. The real reason my immediate family skipped my wedding reception, the night before my wedding, I, 25, was driving to the house my family had rented to hang out with just my brother, the best man, 20, my father, 54, and my uncle, my father's brother, 52. All of us are very close, and have never had any problems before. Also of note, my brother has extensive MMA experience and is underage. I expected it to be relaxed, just drinking, telling stories, and general bullshitting. When I arrived, 1 hour late, they were already completely trashed. My uncle was the farthest gone. He kept walking into the neighbor's yard, trying to fight the guy who lived there. He would wander over, shout obscenities, and I would escort him back, while my brother and dad encouraged him. At one point, Maya was distracted a little too long, and he disappeared. I went over to the house to see if he was there, and my dad and brother followed me. The owner came out again, obviously pissed, and I talked him down, but my dad overheard the owner say that my uncle was an out-of-control jackass. Dad took a swing at the guy, and missed, because my brother decked him. My brother did this because he was terrified the cops would come and arrest him for being underage. Again, heavily inebriated. They ended up in an all-out brawl in the middle of the street. My brother choked my dad out completely in a matter of seconds, and then started walking around like he just won a world championship. During this, I'm just begging the owner to let me handle this and not call the police. Still haven't found my uncle. As soon as I saw what happened to my dad, I ran over to him, only to be pushed away. He got up and headed back to the house fuming. I returned to the owner, and again, thanked him for his discretion, and gave him my number to call if anything else happened. I went back to the house to get my car keys to start searching for my uncle, but now my dad is gone. I asked my brother where he went, and he replied, "Bastard took the last of the jack and left. Don't care." Great, so now both my father and uncle were gone. So I got in my car and headed to the police station, to see if either of them had been picked up. Got almost all of the way there when I got a call from my dad, but when I answered it, an MP responded. He asked if I was Anon and I said yes. He told me that he caught my father climbing the wall of the military base, a part with lots of tourism, nothing important. Plus there was a graduation that week, so the guards knew shenanigans were going to happen, and that I needed to pick him up. When I got there were 6 Navy MPs around him, and he had handcuffs on. They took off the cuffs and he thanked each and every one of them for their service to our fine country, and they let us go. Really awesome of them, I know. He didn't talk to me the whole way home. Finally, 2 hours later, the neighbor called, telling me that my uncle was back, passed out in his yard. He said that my uncle had unlatched their gate, attempted to flip them off, and then passed out. No idea where he had been before this, and my uncle obviously didn't remember. Everything wrapped up around 5 a.m. I got married the next day at 2 p.m. I got 2 hours of sleep, but no hangover since I didn't drink. My family was so embarrassed, mad with each other. I thought my aunt and mom were going to kill them, that they stayed for the ceremony only. My wife and I told everyone that they got food poisoning from some restaurant, and it messed with the schedule of events. No best man, mother-groom dance, plus 2 entire unfilled tables. Got sworn to secrecy, so now I'm telling strangers on the internet. This is a pretty sweet story, so I never get to tell it to people. It would show them how nice I can be. Anyway, I was working in activities in a nursing home when I was younger and had this couple who I adored. The husband didn't need to be there, but he was because he wanted to be with his wife. Oh man, did he have a mouth on him. Another reason why I loved that couple. We would always chat and they would tell me their stories while I was doing the wife's nails. Well, then the wife took a turn for the worse. And she was getting really bad, but she got to see her last birthday. I went to go visit them and bring him his dinner on her birthday, and he made a joke. "Hey, since it's her birthday and she can't eat, can I have her steak dinner?" I giggled it off and apologized for the crap dinner I was bringing to him. Then I decided, hey, why not? So I left work and went to Texas Roadhouse and got him a steak dinner. He was really surprised. He was just joking. A few days later she died, and then he left the facility. They were such an adorable and cute couple. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.